In the afternoon, following a morning of strenuous activity, Watson, plagued by frail health, was visibly exhausted. He attempted to rest on the sofa after Holmes left for a concert. However, sleep eluded him. His mind, agitated by the day's events, was awash with bizarre thoughts and theories. Haunting his attempts to rest, the grotesque image of the murder victim's face persisted in his mind's eye, troubling and elusive.
It was magnificent. Do you remember what Darwin says about music? There are vague memories in our souls of those misty centuries when the world was in its childhood.
That's rather a broad idea.
One's ideas must be as broad as nature, if they are to interpret nature. What's the matter? You're not looking quite yourself. This Brixton Road affair has upset you.
To tell the truth, it has. I saw my own comrades hacked to pieces at Maiwand without losing my nerve.
I can understand. Have you seen the evening paper?
No.
It gives a fairly good account of the affair. It is just as well it does not.
Why?
Look at this advertisement. I had one sent to every paper this morning immediately after the affair.
A plain gold wedding ring, found in the roadway between the White Hart Tavern and Holland Grove. Apply Dr. Watson, 221B Baker Street, between 8 and 9 this evening.
Excuse me, using your name.
That is all right. But supposing anyone applies, I have no ring.
Well, yes, you have. This will do very well. It is almost a facsimile.
And who do you expect will answer this advertisement?
Why, the man in the brown coat, our florid friend with the square toes. If he does not come himself, he will send an accomplice.
Would he not consider it as too dangerous?
Not at all. If my view of the case is correct, and I have every reason to believe that it is, this man would rather risk anything than lose the ring. According to my notion, he dropped it while stooping over Drebber's body and did not miss it at the time. After leaving the house, he discovered his loss and hurried back, but found the police already in possession, owing to his own folly in leaving the candle burning. He had to pretend to be drunk in order to allay the suspicions, which might have been aroused by his appearance at the gate. Now put yourself in that man's place. On thinking the matter over, it must have occurred to him that it was possible that he had lost the ring in the road after leaving the house. What would he do then? He would eagerly look out for the evening papers in the hope of seeing it among the articles found. His eye, of course, would light upon this. He would be overjoyed. Why should he fear a trap? There would be no reason in his eyes why the finding of the ring should be connected with the murder. He would come. He will come. You shall see him within an hour.
And then?
Oh, you can leave me to deal with him then. Have you any arms?
I have my old service revolver and a few cartridges.
You had better clean it and load it. He will be a desperate man, and though I shall take him unawares, it is as well to be ready for anything.
Watson heeded Holmes' advice and headed to his bedroom to retrieve his old service revolver. When he came back, he noticed the table had been cleared. Holmes, engrossed in his own thoughts, was playing his violin, a pastime he often turned to in moments of deep contemplation.
The plot thickens. I've just had an answer to my American telegram. My view of the case is the correct one.
And that is?
My fiddle would be the better for new strings. Put your pistol in your pocket. When the fellow comes, speak to him in an ordinary way. Leave the rest to me. Don't frighten him by looking at him too hard.
It is 8 o'clock now.
Yes, he will probably be here in a few minutes. Open the door slightly. That will do. Now, put the key on the inside, thank you. This is a queer old book I picked up at a stall yesterday, De Jure Inter Gentes, published in Latin at Liège in the Lowlands in 1642. Charles's head was still firm on his shoulders when this little brown-backed volume was struck off.
Who is the printer?
Philippe de Croix, whoever he may have been. On the flyleaf, in very faded ink, is written Ex Libris Guglielmi White. I wonder who William White was. Some pragmatical 17th century lawyer, I suppose. His writing has a legal twist about it. Here comes our man, I think.
Does Dr. Watson live here?
Come in.
It's this as has brought me, good gentleman. A gold wedding ring in the Brixton Road. It belongs to my girl Sally, as was married. Only this time 12-month, which her husband is steward aboard a Union boat, and what he'd say if he comes home and found her without her ring is more than I can think. He being short enough at the best of times, but more especially when he has the drink. If it please you, She went to the circus last night along with...
Is that her ring?
The Lord be thanked. Sally will be a glad woman this night. That's the ring.
And what may your address be?
13 Duncan Street, Houndsditch. A weary way from here.
The Brixton Road does not lie between any circus and Houndsditch.
The gentleman asked me for my address. Sally lives in lodgings at 3 Mayfield Place, Peckham.
And your name is...
My name is Sawyer. Hers is Dennis, which Tom Dennis married her. And a smart, clean lad too, as long as he's at sea, and no steward in the company more thought of. But when on shore, what with the women and what with liquor shops...
Here is your ring, Mrs. Sawyer. It clearly belongs to your daughter, and I am glad to be able to restore it to the rightful owner.
Thank you kindly, sirs, thank you. This means the world to me and Sally, it does.
I'll follow her. She must be an accomplice and will lead me to him. Wait up for me.
No sooner had the old woman left through the hall door than Holmes quickly followed her downstairs. From the window, Watson observed her feeble progress on the street, with Holmes discreetly trailing behind. Watson pondered the implications of Holmes's actions, suspecting that they might be on the verge of a significant breakthrough in the case. Sleep was far from his mind as he awaited Holmes's return. As the clock neared 9, Holmes began his pursuit. Watson remained in the living room, passing time with his pipe and a book, Henri Murger's Vie de Bohème. Hours ticked by, marked by the sounds of the household retiring for the night. It was almost midnight when Holmes finally returned. The expression on his face as he entered revealed his lack of success, but a sudden burst of laughter overcame his initial disappointment, suggesting a mix of amusement and frustration in his findings.
What is it then?
Oh, I don't mind telling a story against myself. That creature had gone a little way when she began to limp and show every sign of being footsore. Presently, she came to a halt and hailed a four-wheeler, which was passing. I managed to be close to her so as to hear the address, but I need not have been so anxious, for she sang it out loud enough to be heard at the other side of the street. "Drive to 13, Duncan Street, Houndsditch," she cried. This begins to look genuine, I thought. And having seen her safely inside, I perched myself behind. That's an art which every detective should be an expert at. Well, away we rattled, and never drew rein until we reached the street in question. I hopped off before we came to the door and strolled down the street in an easy, lounging way. I saw the cab pull up. The driver jumped down, and I saw him open the door and stand expectantly. Nothing came out, though. When I reached him, he was groping about frantically in the empty cab, and giving vent to the finest assorted collection of oaths that ever I listened to. There was no sign or trace of his passenger, and I fear it will be some time before he gets his fare. On inquiring at number 13, we found that the house belonged to a respectable paper-hanger named Keswick, and that no one of the name either of Sawyer or Dennis had ever been heard of there.
You don't mean to say that tottering, feeble old woman was able to get out of the cab while it was in motion, without either you or the driver seeing her?
Old woman be damned. We were the old women to be so taken in. It must have been a young man, and an active one too, besides being an incomparable actor. The get-up was inimitable. He saw that he was followed, no doubt, and used this means of giving me the slip. It shows that the man we are after is not as lonely as I imagined he was, but has friends who are ready to risk something for him. Now, Doctor, you are looking done up. Take my advice and turn in.
Feeling quite exhausted, Watson complied with Holmes's suggestion. He retired, leaving Holmes seated by the dimly glowing fire. Throughout the night, the soft, sorrowful sounds of Holmes's violin playing drifted through the house, a clear sign that he continued to deeply contemplate the perplexing case they were entangled in.